Hello everyone, we are now in lesson 7 and we will talk about the international trade. So here's the expectation of this lesson. After going through this lesson, you are expected to define international trade, understand the importance of international trade and the economy, and lastly, apply business principles, tools, and techniques in the exports and import business. So this is one of the important terms that we're going to talk about the export and the import business. But before we will proceed to our discussion, we will have you pre-test first. Question number 1, it refers to the ability of the economy to produce goods and services at a lower opportunity cost compared to trade partners. It refers to ability of the economy to produce goods and services at a lower opportunity cost compared to trade partners. A. Opportunity cost. B. Comparative advantage. C. Economies of scale. Or D. International trade. The answer for question number 1 is letter B. Comparative advantage. Question number 2, it is the exchange of goods and services between countries. A. Comparative advantage. B. Economies of scale. C. International trade. Or D. Opportunity cost. It is the exchange of goods and services between countries. The answer for number 2 is letter C. International trade. Question number 3, he popularized the law of comparative advantage. A. Adam Smith. B. Lionel Robbins. C. Thomas Malthus. Or D. David Ricardo. He popularized the law of comparative advantage. The answer for number 3 is letter D. David Ricardo. Question number 4. The top gainer in the Philippine export in June 2020. A. Metal components. B. Minerals. C. Chemical. Or D. Coconut oil. The top gainer in the Philippine exports in June 2020. The answer for number 4 is letter B. Mineral. And last number 5, the top gainer in the Philippines export in June 2020. Okay, this is for import. Okay, not an export but an import. A. Cereals. B. Transport equipment. C. Food and live animals. Or D. Mineral fuels. The top gainer in the Philippine imports in June 2020. So the answer for number 5 is letter A. Cereals. So once again, congratulations to those who got the perfect score. Now we will proceed to our lesson. So if you walk into a supermarket and find products from China, United States, Thailand, Malaysia, and South Korea, so you're experiencing the effects of international trade. Now, international trade is the exchange of goods and services between countries, as what we have in our pretest. International trade allows countries to expand their business in the global arena. So the international trade is the key to the rise of the global economy where supply and demand and so with the prices are affected by global events. And political change in Asia, for example, could increase the cost of labor, thereby increasing the manufacturing cost of an American sneaker company based in the Philippines would increase the price charged at the local mall. So the decrease in the cost of labor, on the other hand, would result in paying less for the new shoes. So a product that is sold to the global market is called export. Again, a product that is bought from the global market is called import. So these two terms is very important that you need to know. First is the import. If a product that is bought from the global market is called import. From other countries to our countries, that is import. And for the export, the product that is sold to the global market is called export. So we export goods and services to other countries, and we import goods and services for our countries. Okay. So here's the example of the products. For example, you are walking to the supermarket. There are Chinese foods. There are United States food, mini Oreo, and we also have Thailand. I think that you are also familiar with these products. This Laishu coffee. It's from Thailand. So we've seen that in the market or in the online store or online shop. And we also have food like the I think it is from Malaysia. Okay, this Oreo mix. And then we also have products from South Korea. Okay, so I believe that you also encounter these products, these beauty products from Korea. So there are different products that we have seen in the market or store or in the mall, and that is part of the what we call international trade. Okay, now let's proceed to the comparative advantage. Comparative advantage refers to the ability of the economy to produce goods and services at a lower opportunity cost compared to the trade partners. So comparative advantage gives a company the ability to sell goods and services at a lower price than its competitors and realize stronger sales margins. So if you sell products that are have this lower cost or cheap, you have this comparative advantage to your competitors. So the law of comparative advantage is the popularly attributed to the English politician economist David Ricardo. Okay, this is what we have discussed in the pretest. Okay, so he wrote a book entitled On the Principles of Political Economy and Taxation. It was written in the year 1817. Okay, 1817. Although it is likely that Ricardo's mentor James Mill originated the analysis. Okay, so the name of his mentor is James Mill. Again, the word comparative advantage was popularized by David Ricardo. I think I've not written here. David Ricardo. The comparative advantage was popularized by David Ricardo in his book On the Principles of Political Economy and Taxation. Okay. Again, he popularized the word comparative advantage in his book, but it is originated from his mentor named James Mill. Now, global trade allows rich countries to use their resources, whether labor, technology, or capital, more efficiently. Since countries are endowed with different assets and resources, some countries may produce the same goods more efficiently and therefore sell them cheaper than other countries. Okay, for example, there are different products, different companies who sell the same products to the specific countries. Some of the products have this cheaper price and some of the products have this high price. So if a country cannot efficiently produce a good, it can obtain it by trading with another country that can produce more. So this is known as a specialization in the international trade. Now let's take a simple example. So I prepared here a table. For example, the country A and country B both produce cotton sweaters. Okay, this is the first country, for example, Malaysia, and then this is Thailand. They sell the same products, cotton sweaters. Okay, cotton sweaters and wine. Okay, so country A produces 10, okay, 10 sweaters and 6 bottles of wine, the country A. Okay, and the country B produces only 6 sweaters, but produces 10 bottles of wine in a year. Okay, this is in a year. In a year. So both can produce a total of 16 units. Okay. A country A, however, takes 3 hours. Okay, 3 hours to produce the 10 sweeters and 2 hours to produce the 6 bottles of wine, a total of 5 hours. Okay. And then for the country B, on the other hand, takes 1 hour to produce 10 sweeters and 3 hours to produce 6 bottles of wine with a total of 4 hours. Okay, 1 hour to produce sweeters and 3 hours to produce wine. For the country A, 3 hours to produce sweeters and 2 hours to produce wine. So for country A, we have the total of 5 hours total, and for the country B, we have this 4 hours of total. But these two countries realized that they could produce more by focusing on these products with which they have the comparative advantage. Okay, so again, country A and country B both produce cotton sweaters and wine. But these two countries realized that they could produce more by focusing on these products with which they have the comparative advantage. So the country A then begins to produce only wine. Okay, instead of producing cotton sweaters and wine, the country A decided only to produce wine. Okay, wine only. And the country B produces only cotton sweaters. Okay, so each country can now create a specialized output of 20 units per year and trade equal proportion of both products. So as such, each country now has access to 20 units of both products. For example, they will sell it to the specific country. So the country A will sell only wines, that is their specialization, and for country B, they only sell sweeters. Okay, so they have this specialization of their products. Now let's proceed to the international trade in the Philippines. The country's total export sales in June 2020 amounted to 5.33 billion. Okay, the export here 5.33 billion. It has a decrease of 13.3% from the 6 where's this one 6.15 billion total export generated in 2019. Okay, so in 2019 they produced 6,149,083. Okay, but in the June 2022 you have this 5.33 billion. Okay, again in 2019 they have this 6.15 billion total export in 2019, but in 2020 they only have 5.33 billion. So there is a decrease of 13.3. Okay, there's a negative sign here, 13.3% decrease. So the annual drop in June 2020 was the fourth month the total export had consecutive negative growth. So in the previous month, the export value fell at the annual rate of 26.9%. Okay. Again, it fell at an annual rate of 26.9%. So there is also a negative sign here. While in June 2019, it gained at rate of 3.9%. Okay, so there is a decrease from 2019 to 2020. Now let's proceed on the top of the major commodity groups in terms of exported value. 8 had annual decline, which was led by metal components. Okay. For the metal components, there are negative 30.5%. And the coconut oil, they have this 29, negative 29.7%. And machinery and transport equipment with 26.3%. Okay. And now let's proceed to the total import goods in June 2020, which amounted to 6.63 billion. Okay. So plunge at the annual rate of 24.5%. In the previous month, the decline was faster at 40.6%, while in June 2019, import decreased by 7.2% annually. So the decrement of imported goods in June 2020 was due to the decrease in 7 of the top 10 major import commodities, which were led by transport equipment. Okay, this is the transport equipment with negative 70.5%. And in mineral fuels, lubricants, and related materials, you have this 56.9%. And iron and steel, they have this negative 40.9%. So this is all about the international trade. This is just only a summary or introductions for the international trade. Now let's proceed to the valuing part. We need to reflect on these sayings. Life is full of giving and taking. Just like in the international trade, there's an import and export. So we need to give thanks and take nothing for granted. We need to appreciate everything that we receive from God and from our, for example, family, friends, and classmates. Thank you, and don't forget to answer the evaluation quiz. Bye bye.